If you didn't already know, prepping for paint is actually more important than the paint you choose itself or the way that you choose to paint your boat. If you skip this step, you might as well not even paint your boat at all. So put that spray gun and paint can away. We're not focused on that today. We're talking about paint prep on our duck boat project. So the last place we left off was finishing up all of the electrical. Now it is time to flip this bad boy over. And before I do that, I need to put in all of my aluminum decking first. So now it's just a matter of coming in here and playing Tetris and figure out where all these pieces go. And then we're going to rivet them all into place. There is nothing magical or sexy about this. Just got to get in here and get all this stuff riveted down. The only tip that I can really give you as far as riveting all this down is take the time to mark out with a Sharpie on each one of these panels where all of your ribs are going to be at and where all of your framing material is at, so that you don't miss any rivets when you're doing all your drilling and stuff. We're going to be using the same old countersink bits that we've been using throughout this project. If you haven't seen them yet, bam, that's what they look like. And the only tip I can really give you about installing rivets, and I see this happen all the time, and we do it in the shop sometimes without even thinking about it. Make sure when you are drilling and countersinking your holes that you're using a drill, not a hammer drill or not the hammer setting on your drill, and you don't want to use an impact. If you want to get smooth holes, then you need to use a regular drill that just drills straight. Impacts tend to press the material in, and then when you go to put the rivet inside that hole, sometimes it will be closed in and you'll have to go back with your drill bit and open it back up one more time. So yeah, let's put in like a whole bunch of rivets. In case you weren't counting along like you should have been, that was 268 rivets. I know because I just counted them. That's how we make these kits. We actually build the boat, count how much material that we had, what we used, and that's how we make the kit. So that's all done. Let's flip this boat. So I got the boat flipped over and I completely forgot about this, but there is this mystery, I'm not really sure what this is, some kind of really thick tarry type, maybe epoxy sealant, whatever it is. It's very crushable. Like every time I try to fold it, it crushes. But anyways, I got to go through that and pick all that off and see what is hiding underneath there. Well, there it is. We found it. I knew there was going to be something that I didn't want to see down in there. And it looks like somebody drilled a hole. I can't tell if that's a drill hole or what. That is a perfect hole right there. It doesn't look like a stick or anything, but yeah. So as soon as I started grinding this, I smelled it and I was like, yep, that's JB weld. So I knew there was going to be a giant hole down there. All right, well, let me get this actually welded and not JB welded. I mean, JB did a pretty good job. I'm not going to lie. This thing was not leaking right here, but we're going to put some actual weld in there, some real weld, you know, in about 35 minutes once I get all this crap picked out of here, which I doubt is actually going to happen. All right, we got that all fixed up real quick. I know you can see this little divot right here. This is actually a dent. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but there's a big dent right there, and I only filled out to the edge right about there. But I got that hole completely filled in, and the way I did it was using some filler wire. Call this the Texas TIG method. So because that hole was so big, I went in with a bunch of filler wire and just laid it across that hole so I didn't have to worry about any weld falling down into the subfloor, because I've got foam back there. And welding on top of foam, if it drips, it makes a big fire. And I don't want a fire in this boat. So that's done. A few little things that I've already started on as far as peeling stickers off on the side of this boat. And I did that with just a big scraper razor blade. I think I got this at Walmart. It's hyper tough. But that got most of it off. And I did leave a little bit of residue on here, so I'm probably going to come back with some acetone or some goof off or something and try to get the rest of that residue off. And then we'll sand all of this nice and smooth. And the good news is the paint on this boat, even though it's faded and kind of chalky looking, it's actually in good shape. It's not peeling. It's not cracked. So I don't have to worry about removing any of the actual paint itself. The only thing I need to do is clean it really good. And that's the most important thing you can do when you're prepping a boat like this, is clean it before you start sanding. So like this is some kind of stain of some sort, and there's grit and dust and cobwebs and all kinds of stuff all over this boat. If you don't clean it before you sand it, anything that you sand is going to be embedded into the surface. Aluminum is like a sponge. It will soak up anything that you heat up and burn into the metal or push into the metal. So we're going to wipe the entire boat down with acetone before we start sanding. And all we're looking to do is just give this a nice clean scuff. And any places that look kind of rough, and like these that I sanded earlier, we're going to go back over those with probably some 220 and just get them all nice and smooth. Now, one thing I need to be extremely careful about is these rivets that I've added onto the side of the boat. They are very smooth on top, and it is very hard to get an orbital sander or even a sander on your finger to get that scuffed up enough to where paint's going to stick to it. So this is what I use. This is a bristle brush that I get at Harbor Freight. They're like 80 and 120 grit equivalent. And it's just nylon bristles that have some, some kind of abrasive built into it. And on all these new rivets, all I'm going to do is just run over the top of them. And you can see how that gets it really nice and prepped so that it will accept paint. If you get one like this that's nice and smooth, as soon as you hit something, that paint's going to want to chip off of it. So you want to go for something like this that is somewhat sanded or at least has some grip to it. All those rivets that we added into the transom, we're going to need to do the same thing there. We got some bare aluminum here, so we're going to make sure we clean that really good and then sand all of that. As far as the bottom of the boat goes, haven't decided yet. I may go run up Tractor Supply and get some slick bottom coating. Haven't really decided, but this thing has been beat to hell and back. You can see the giant dents that it's got in it. But the good thing is there's no leaking rivets. We got that hole plugged up. So I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. We're kind of on a time crunch. I need to get this thing done, so I don't have time to order like Gator Glide or Wetlander or anything like that. So I may try some of the graphite paint from Tractor Supply and just see how that turns out on this boat. But for now, I'm gonna get all these stickers off the side of the boat, get the adhesive cleaned off, and then get to sanding and get everything nice and smoothed out. So I completed the front, just this little nose piece right here, and this whole side. It took me exactly 40 minutes and 32 seconds, just in case anybody was wondering. It's much time it takes to prep even a boat like this that doesn't have peeling paint. I go through and show you some little details here. Anywhere there was a dent or a really deep nick or something like that, I went in with that little brush and made sure that I got inside that dent really well. Same thing with all the rivets, went back over all the rivets again. And then back here is where that big Fisher sticker was. And I wiped most of the adhesive off with the acetone, but I had to come back and start with 80, 100, 120, and then work my way up to 220 to get all that adhesive off and get this nice and smooth. And moving on down, here's another one of those dents right there. I got in there with that brush really good. Nothing really I can do about the dent itself right now because I'm not doing a bunch of Bondo work, but just get in there with that brush and clean all that out real good. All these corners right here, sanded all those over. Now, if you walk up here to the front where this weld starts all the way down the front, I got in there with a brush and made sure I cleaned that weld out as good as I can. All the way up around here. And then same thing, all these welds, the welds that are going up the front of the boat, got in there with the brush and made sure that we got all around these edges really, really well. All these buck rivets, I got around my welds from where I put the bull bar on the front. And the adhesive on the stickers that were up here wasn't as bad. It still wasn't great, but I did have to come in here with some 120 to get this nice and smooth, and then back over it with some 220. So we got all that adhesive off. We got all down that rib on the side of the boat. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, prepping boat for paint is so much fun, and I don't feel like it's fair for me to just absorb all this fun by myself tonight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait to do the other side, the bottom and the back tomorrow when the boys come in, because I think it would be more fair for them to share in some of this fun, because I don't wanna have all this fun by myself. We'll let the grunts do the rest of the work. Well, the boys did a great job getting all the sanding done, but as luck would have it, we got another problem. That is a crack, and it's not just one crack. It's cracked through that rivet, and it's cracked all the way down the side right there. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna drill out here, 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 and weld all this up. Probably grind that rivet out and weld all that up. So that should be fun. More welding. So the boys are getting the final wipe down done, and all they're using is what we call a final wipe rag. You can buy them on Amazon and some paint and body supply stores, but it's a lint-free cloth, and they're using acetone as their cleaning agent to clean all that dust off of the boat. And you can see just giving this one last wipe down before we paint brings a lot of junk and dust and dirt off of the surface, which is very, very important. We are done with paint prep. Next time you see this boat, we're going to be painting it. Catch you guys on the next.